going to say, and while we're at it, I'm going to show you the... Alright, so now we can take our sensor, move it back up into position. And now we have it set up so that we're protected by the cage. We have our height. And as long as we're talking about the collision, there's, for the inkjet itself, there's 3 proc switches on this head. It's a magnetic breakaway head. And it's held by these little chains. And it's magnetically held in position. Okay? Now these proc switches feed back to tell us whether we have a collision or not. Now they are set in place. You can see that they're on here now. They're sensing. They're actually not proc switches, they're actually mechanical switches. So what I'd like to do is take one off and show you exactly what we have and how you can set those. They screw in. And you can see there's a small actuator at the end of it. And that actuator, what we're going to do is by virtue of twisting that into the head, we're going to take and move it in there until we just depress that mechanical switch or actuator a small bit. Now you can see that when we have the switch put together, there is a light on this when it's actuated, okay? And when it's not actuated, it goes off. So then we know that we don't really have it set quite right. But you don't want to jam it in all the way, because actually what we're doing on this is setting it just to this cone here, this small bevel angle. And that's where those are coming in on and tripping off it. And the reason for 3 of them is for the amount of surface area. Any small movement, if it's not set in there right, would show that we aren't in it correctly, and also show that we have some type of collision situation. So you get that guy back into place. You'll feel it click. It feels a nice solid mount with the magnets. And what we'll do is we'll take the switch back off and we'll put it back in. Now that's one way to tell if your switch is actually working too, is pull it out and press it in and out and see that it lights and doesn't light. So that's a quick and easy way of determining that. So we take and we'll screw it in. Now you can see that there's a keeper nut on the switch, and that's just to set the height of engagement. So once you feel it twist in, until you feel that actual resistance of it floating against that bevel, then we can back it out, approximately a half of a turn, and set our jam nut here to set our height of that switch. Okay, then we can screw it back on, and you'll notice that it's back on, so we know that we're in correctly. And now the height is set of the switch, and if we do break away, well, that was quite a breakaway, but we can see that it does go out. And it goes back on when we put the inkjet back in. Oh, that's too tight. A little too tight. Okay, So we're set at our height. And what we want to do is, now that we're in a manual height, we're going to adjust our height sensor. I'm going to walk in front of you here for a second. Now our height sensor is active, and what we're going to do is dial this in with this knob here. You can see right now that with the red indicator pointing down, if we were in an auto height situation, it would want to drive it down. So we're going to take our adjustment knob here with the yellow cap, and now you can see that it's trying to adjust it back up. We have to zero that out, right in between those two. See how I'm dialing it in? And I get both of them just to disappear. One lights up, and right between where they're both off, okay? Now we're zeroed out, or they call that the null position. This other dial up here is the gain, and that's for your sensitivity of height. When you're at your height sensing sensitivity is, if it's too high in the gain, you're going to get a lot of jumpiness. If it's too low, it's going to be quite a bit of dead banding, and it might not react fast enough. So we probably recommend about 70 to 75% gain. And if it's turned all the way clockwise, it's 100%. So you can take it back to about 70 to 75%, and normally you will get a nice responsiveness out of your system. So now our height sensor is set up. Now you'll see that if we go to an auto height, the torch will go back up to its home position, and then we can do an initial height sense with our inkjet carriage, and it should come down the plate to our proper height.